In this week's USGS Hawaiian Volcano Observatory Volcano Watch article, scientists focus on one of the significant steps made over the last 5 years in their ability to understand and conduct volcano science. In that time, scientists have been able to probe the inner workings of Kilauea volcano by carefully observing changes in seismicity, deformation, gas emissions, and geology at Halemaumau and at Pu'o craters. Many of the important scientific and technical advances happened as the overlook vent formed within Halemaumau crater in 2008. HVO officials say the vent appeared after a surge in magma supply that began in late 2003. Summit seismicity and gas emissions also increased, and gas chemistry changes suggested to scientists that either new gas pathways to the surface were forming or that magma was rising. By mid-February 2008, as noxious sulfur dioxide emissions rose, the national park wisely chose to close the section of the crater rim drive downwind of the summit. Before the summit eruption actually began in 2008, Kilauea's gas emissions were the highest HVO had recorded in more than 20 years.
We're very interested in the gases that are coming out of this eruption.
In the Volcano Watch article, scientists detail the instrument technique used to estimate SO2 emissions, which relies upon measuring the amount of ultraviolet sunlight energy passing through the volcanic gas plume.
This instrument is a miniature ultraviolet spectrometer, and inside of it, it's referred to as the fly spec. So it uses an ultraviolet spectrometer to measure the SO2 in the eruption plume. How much sulfur dioxide is coming out of the volcano.
A brave scientist must strap a small upward-looking spectrometer to the roof of their field vehicle and drive underneath the gas plume as it is blown across the crater rim drive.
And so Christine drives back and forth 6 or 8 times underneath the plume. And you can see she has her gas mask on.
And you can see the gas vehicle driving underneath the plume right now. The amount of, there's almost 1,000 tons of sulfur dioxide that's coming out of that vent each day, and we're able to measure that.
The spectrometer measures the amount of light absorbed by the SO2 in the plume above. They say this technique works until gas amounts become very high. By the beginning of March 2008, they were approaching that threshold. When the summit eruption was inaugurated in mid-March by the forceful opening of the new Halemaumau overlook vent, the summit plume suddenly became extraordinarily dense, almost visually opaque. Now the gas plume contained substantial amounts of fine particles. From there, the article explains how the exact amount of sulfur dioxide being released from the summit vent has been uncertain. They have still been able to estimate minimum emission rates for hazard purposes and to track changes in eruptive activity over time. In contrast, estimates of the SO2 emission rates from Kilauea's East Rift Zone are unaffected by the dense plume and high SO2 problems experienced at the summit. The East Rift Zone measurements are made 6 miles downwind, and at that distance the plume is substantially diluted. This is Big Island Video News for your Aloha Friday, May 24th, 2013. I'm Stephanie Salazar.